Hi, I'm Jess.
And I'm Jen. We're just two run-of-the-mill casting directors looking to have a little fun while tearing down the curtain on casting, the process, and how the sausage gets made.
So many misconceptions have come from outside sources, so we're here to clear the air and make sure everyone gets a full picture of all that goes into casting your favorite TV shows and films. All the while, we'll be drinking some amazing cocktails and spilling the tea on some of the most outrageous stories we've come across in our careers.
Maybe we'll even bring on a few exciting guests along the way.
Cheers!
Cheers.
For this one, we can definitely say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening with Miss Brittani Ward. Hi, Brittani. How are you?
Hi, it's so great to see you. I'm wonderful. I'm in Chicago.
Yes. So we're covering a lot of time zones here, LA, Chicago, and London.
Yes.
How's everyone doing? How are you
Good.
doing? Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna dive into what we're drinking because I need this so much. I have a Pinot Noir tonight, but as I was saying to you guys, today is moving day, so I just moved into my new flat, and I've been running around like a chicken. So let me just tell you the story to start it off. I like to always paint when I get into a new place, just because it freshens up it, it just makes it takes away all the ickiness from all the last people. So I went, got the paint, got all the supplies today, and then I literally started, I did all the trimming, and I did one roll, and it did all the bubbling on, like it made it all bubbly.
Yeah.
So I was like, crap, I bought the wrong roller for this type of wall. And I had 15 minutes before the hardware store closed. So I jumped on a Lime bike, ran over there because I was like, I'm not letting tonight go to waste. And then got back and got an entire room done before this. So I was like,
Wow.
Yeah.
You're
That's
crazy.
why I deserve my wine tonight. What are you drinking, Brittani?
I wanted to have red wine, but I did not have any in the house. I'm jealous of your Pinot Noir, but instead I took this Colonel Taylor small batch bourbon and cut it with water to make it more of a wine consistency in ABV, which I also deserve because I have a movie that started shooting today in West Virginia that I worked on as a casting director for 10 months. So I'm having that great first day of shooting. Enough is done. It is happening.
Yeah.
Celebratory feeling.
That's amazing. The leave me alone feeling. That's the best one.
That's right.
Amazing. And I'm doing because I've got like a tiny bit of jet lag. So I'm doing an Irish coffee this morning with this like a weird mushroom coffee.
Oh yeah. Is it the Rise that's on Instagram? Is it the RYZE? Is it great?
Yeah, it's good. It takes a while to sort of like settle into. My mom had it first and she was trying to sell it to all of us. And we were like, nah, it's okay. And then I secretly bought it just to try it. And then it took me like a full, I don't know, 2 weeks to get used to like the flavor profile. Cause there's like the Arabica coffee in it, but it's not, doesn't have the same flavor profile as regular coffee. So just like, I think it's a little bit about it is about like changing your expectation of what you're about to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's good. It just takes a minute to get used to. And so I'm enjoying it now.
When you post this podcast, you should @Rise and then get it sent to you free as an influencer.
Oh, that's smart. My mom will be so happy. She'll take credit for the whole thing. And she also happens to be here right now, so it's perfect timing.
We also keep really trying to get sponsored by somebody. Like our last episode, we're like, if you want to sponsor us, Dairy Queen, if you want to sponsor us, any alcohol, do you want to sponsor us?
Maybe we're too thirsty, Jen.
The alcohol is a good option. They could then people could be drinking that drink.
We are working very hard on that angle. Anyways, we're so excited to have you here. You've been a long-time friend. We have never gotten to spend like an immense amount of time together, but we have a lot of mutual friends and you're just a lovely human being. So I'm really excited to have you on and get to know you even more, and you and Jen to get to know each other.
Yes, thank you. Feeling so mutual. I've always respected your work so much. and love
Oh,
seeing you, and I'm thrilled to be here and meet you too, Jen.
yay.
Yes, you do.
Amazing. Well, tell us a little bit because I don't think I knew because I knew you through Lindsay Weissmuller.
Yeah.
But I don't know sort of how you started in this crazy world.
Sure. It's kind of a crazy story. In some ways, it's incredibly uninteresting. Like I always wanted to do this, and now I'm doing it.
Mm.
And the way it started was I went to college for writing and directing. I wanted to be a screenwriter since I was like in 7th grade.
Oh, wow.
And by the time I graduated college, I had become the local casting girl. So I had a little bit of hobby acting background from high school and college. I never pursued acting professionally as an adult. But in college, from having that experience, I was thinking, oh, we need to hire these DePaul theater school actors when I was at DePaul as a filmmaker. So that's how it started, that I was going through the motions of casting and learning it. Then I trained for 3 months at the Pascal and Rudnicki internship. Their names might be familiar because they're winning Artios Awards and Emmys for The Bear, for their location casting in Chicago on The Bear.
Yeah.
And so that was my first internship. Moved straight to straight to Los Angeles. Started working as a receptionist at the Collective, which is then was Silver Lining Entertainment and is now Strand. A lot of those same talent managers a long time ago. That kind of dates me, but that's when I started in the business. And from there, got an internship working for Amber Horn and Danielle Aufiero, because I was working at the Federal Bar in North Hollywood, no longer there, but a great establishment for the past 10, 15 years. And Amber was my customer, and I lived like steps away from that Samsung building. You used to work there too, right? Did you used to work at the Samsung building, the big
Yeah.
blue one, like the old Planet Daily?
5225 Wilshire.
Yeah,
Yep.
of course. Yeah. Right. So we were in the same building as a lot of casting offices were, and that's where I was interning. It's relevant that I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and so we've been like back and forth, on again, off again around that early time. Like we were graduating college, I was moving to LA. I had casually started dating a couple of other people. I had my internship with Amber and Danielle. I was working at the Collective and at the Federal Bar. And then my husband started casually dating one other girl, and they went on like 4 dates. And I like imagined myself like flipping a table, like a biblical story of sorts. And I quit all my jobs and I moved home, this is true, and stole him back. And then I was about to become a corporate recruiter living in Naperville. And right before I took this corporate recruiting job, Katrina Wandell, who I'd interned for, said, the best. There's this casting assistant job on Side Effects in Carmen Cuba's office, and it's a 4-week job. And my husband was in Mexico on a work trip, and I literally like left a note in the night and like flew out, and I was like, I'll be back home in 4 weeks, because we were 24 and this was fine to do then.
Yeah.
And 4 weeks turned into 7 weeks, and then I shipped my car out. And then I saw Barb Fiorentino at Amber Horn's birthday party, and she said, I need a casting associate on this Karen Moncrief movie called Trials of Kate McCall that had an incredible cast. Kate Beckinsale was in it. Clancy Brown was in it. It's the first time I ever, maybe first and only time, we auditioned Mahershala Ali and thought that's a star. So it was one of the most incredible experiences, and she made me her associate. And so I called Ryan, I said, I have to stay. Like I just got this huge promotion and I'm staying. And I fly for free on standby. This is a hugely important part of the story. I want everyone listening to know that casting directors, especially in the early years of their career, cannot make enough money to fly as much as I fly. But I've been flying back and forth between LA and Chicago the whole time. And that's because I had that standby plan for free. So for the whole 2012, I worked 60 to 80 hour casting weeks, including through pilot season. I would get on a red-eye flight home on Friday. I would then fly standby back starting on Sunday morning with enough time to make it back to work on Monday, every other week for the entire year, until my husband then moved to Los Angeles. And then we were a little more stable and worked regular, and then I moved back home to get married. So I've been kind of, for the first half of my career, I was in LA most of the time and flying home for personal, and now I'm in Chicago most of the time and flying to LA for business. And it was just like a matter of when I had enough of a foothold and enough of a client base to make that switch.
That's first of all, that relationship is so strong, and he better feel all of the love. The fact that you and I went back and forth and back and forth. That's incredible. But wow, what a wild journey. And also, I just have to, there's a very clear line of like alignment of what we do, Because Jessie, you know Jessie Lafferty, right?
Of course, yeah.
Jessie, she does that. She's a headhunter now. And I always thought it was so funny because I was like, you're basically a casting director for real people. Like that's that alignment of what we do versus what you were about to do is basically very similar.
I love that. And I use the example all of the time when explaining it at a cocktail party, but there's
Yeah.
one pretty profound difference in terms of what can lead to conflicts of interest on the corporate recruiting side, at least in like the private boutique corporate hiring. From what I've experienced is like a corporate recruiter is in between, especially if they're independent, they're in between the clients and the candidates equally. Whereas like for a casting director, I feel like I am representing the clients and the agents are representing the actors. And then we two in the middle have that relationship. And I like that that has that extra fourth section.
Yeah. So then how did you end up going out on your own? What was the big leap for you to make that jump?
In 2014, I was finishing up a couple TV shows. I think fifth season of Awkward on MTV and the first season of 100 on the CW. And I've been working for both Barbara Fiorentino and Amber and Danielle's companies. They sometimes had overlap, the three of them, that they would come together and collaborate on a project, but they had two separate books of business in the same physical space. So I'd been rapidly accumulating casting associate credits by working for both companies at the same time. And I also used to network really, really, really hard. And by that, I mean, I would do work drinks Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of most weeks all year, different agents, different managers. And one of those people was a man named Caleb. And Caleb Wilson worked at Resolution at the time. And he was good friends with my longest time friend in the business is Dean Fluker. He does my deals at UTA. I've known him since we went to University of Iowa together, which is where I was the first part of college. So we've known each other for almost 20 years. And a good friend of Dean's, like he brought me into his friend circle. And then that person I was having drinks with at the Hudson. Does that exist still? The Hudson bar?
It may not
West
be
Hollywood?
the Hudson. It might be something else now. I'm not sure. I don't go to West
Like
Hollywood.
West Hollywood. Anyway, we were there on a Monday night and he was like, hey, my roommate's like needs to do this self-tape. And I was just like in a mood and I was like, let's go, I'll do it. Like went back to their condo. I like did this self-tape for free. Thought I was a good casting director. It's kind of like a little mini audition because then when one of his clients, a man named Ali Afshar, who's the executive producer of a company called ESX Productions. They do a lot of like approximately $2 million movies, often shot in Petaluma or Northern California. Warner Brothers, I don't know what the deal structure is now, but a lot of like Warner Brothers streaming types of movies. I did 6 movies for them. So Caleb's client, Ali, was an actor too. And he came to him and said, I have backing from Forrest Lucas of Lucas Oils to make an entire slate of independent movies. And Caleb was like, we want Brittany to have this job. And they gave me this job. And it was like a 1.5 years worth of independent casting work. And so I went totally out on my own with that. It was like enough money to pay me when I was only 26. And then ended up coming and getting this great job with Laray. And then Laray Mayfield, who's David Fincher's casting director at the time, this was about 2015. She let me keep doing my indies while also working for her. So she let me do casting sessions out of her space if I, and I would pay her something for the space rental. But I was able to kind of keep both together at the same time.
Oh, that's amazing. That's very rare to find, just to say that out loud.
It's very rare. It's hard. And, what I will say is that me going out on my own meant digging deeper and deeper and more firmly into independent features, which are a grind, right? They're implicitly a grind. I've kind of carved out this niche for myself that's become more and more producerial as time has gone on. And we can talk more about that. But I have not cast a TV show on my own.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a little bit of a different track. It's a whole different conversation, but that is harder. If I was trying to, and I also have to be on withdrawal from the Teamsters Union because I live in Chicago now and I'm not covered living in Chicago, nor if I was on independent films, would I make enough hours to maintain health insurance as a Teamster, right? So fortunately, I'm married to somebody with a corporate job who has our family's health insurance. And that's allowed me to stay doing this thing that I'm really passionate about, which is narrative scripted feature film.
Yeah.
I also want to bridge more into TV because I have a ton of casting associate experience in TV. I love the pace of TV. You might notice that I'm pretty fast paced in speech and energy. I like TV. I miss it.
Yeah.
But I was trying to do too many things at once, personally and professionally, to really make that grinding entrance. I know that you both know, I know that anyone that has casting friends knows how challenging it is to go from even the fanciest casting office. We've worked for A-list casting directors, the best casting directors in the world. And I am super grateful for those associate credits and incredibly grateful for the negotiating leverage that's given me on feature film. And I don't know because I haven't really tried, but I venture to guess it would mean very little in terms of going out on generals to different studios and trying to get that first TV show as a casting director.
Yeah. I
haven't
mean,
tried.
I think that it's, it's something we talk about often, but I think when we all first started, there was like parameters that we had to sort of tick boxes to say, okay, now we're legitimate and we can do X, Y, and Z, whether it's studio films or TV or whatever. I just think the game has changed so much. And because of COVID, there's no desire to see who else is out there on the casting front from like the studio side or network side. And so I think it's, there's nothing stopping them from hiring the same 10 people at the same time for 20 projects or whatever it is, not saying that there are 20 projects out there right now, but I just think it's so different that honestly the general meetings don't mean much anymore.
Sure.
It becomes very superficial and like a little bit of a waste of time, but I think it's more valuable sort of in the space that we are now is taking those general meetings with production companies. And that I think is that is a better use of our time because there's usually some sort of follow through with that.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
Jen, what are you thinking? Jen, you look so pensive.
Oh gosh, no, I just get depressed every time I think about it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I just feel like every time I think about the studio system, it's just such a bad situation for any new casting directors these days that unless you're some big name, it's just like not even worth your time or energy because even if we go and like make these relationships with really good producers, really good directors, like the studio can make your life a living hell. Like there's no like consequence for like there's no through line of like because we were told on our generals like, oh, like we'll never block a casting director for if like a director producer brings them in. That's a lie. They will block you with every ounce of their power, and then if they even still get you through, then they'll be really dicky to you and they'll just try to prove that they were right. And it's just like it's really just disheartening because I think, I mean, and I say this because we don't have the studio system over here of casting. Like it's heaven on earth. Like all I have to do is like work with people that I like, who I respect, and the loyalty is a lot different where I don't have to then go suck up to somebody who's never even cast a show in their entire career just because they somehow landed a job at a studio. So it's really like, I go back and forth. It's part of the reason why I moved here was because I hated that system of just trying to like win over people and do that fake meeting where they'll sit there and be like, oh yeah, we're so open to new casting and we can't wait to work with you. And I mean, there's some execs that I've had relationships with for years and I've done shows for them. They've admitted that I was the one doing all the work. I was the one doing everything for these shows. And then when it comes down to it, they do nothing for you. And I go as far to say they hinder you because they will never put you up for a job. They will never try to like help bring the next generation forward. So yeah, I just kind of gave up on TV in the States because that's just not even, I just don't even think anybody under the age of 45 can maybe make it in that world unless you're, anointed by somebody.
Sure, the anointing is definitely a real thing, but I think if you're not in an anointment type of position, it's hard.
I do want to say just real quick, I know that this is the minority when I say this, but I want to give props to one studio executive that has been my advocate from the moment that I have she's tried so hard to get me in, dealing with her own sort of like the pushback of the process, but like Brittany Grooms over at
Mm,
Netflix, like I've known
yeah.
her since she was an assistant at Disney when we were doing Star Wars, The Force Awakens. And she's, first of all, just a glorious person, but also she's been an advocate of mine from the beginning and when she doesn't have to. So I think it's also just the balance of that. Yes, the majority hasn't been a positive experience for most of us, but there are the few angels that are waiting in the wings to try to help when they have a moment. And so I want to like, we can spotlight those people too.
Yeah, I'll spotlight Trace Clausen and Barbara Fiorentino, my mentor. That's my casting family. You know, the family that
Yeah.
Barb Fiorentino's built and all of the offshoots of it, and anyone that's come from that office, or Amber and Danielle's, which is an extension of Barb initially as well,
Yeah.
is so special. And to have that family, the amount of work that they've given me or referred me to, including laterally, is incredible. And then Barb had given me several movies that were on a Hulu backstop deal. And it's what allowed me to transition into finally being able to carve out the time and the space to raise the money for the feature that I directed, which we can also talk about a little later whenever it makes sense. But that, from having that amount of work, was I able to then take the space to pivot, to balance, to prioritize. And
Yeah.
when I'm thinking of that moment, I'm thinking of early 2022, and I had come off of pandemic into 2021. So pandemic 2020 was okay. I had a baby during that time. That's hard. But then 2021 was the worst year of my life, pandemic wise. And then having that baby be not a baby anymore, but figuring that out as all the work came back. And then into 2022, and I had that type of work from Hulu, and I was able to kind of breathe, catch up, organize, be paid enough on movies to not have to say yes to every little thing, every little $5,000 type of gig I could get. And you don't want to be in that position as a casting director as anybody, right? Because then you can't make better strategic decisions for your career. So to give that space is what allowed me to then have some of the successes that I was hoping to have in the past few years. And that type of mentorship, it just can't, there's no words, there's not enough thank yous, there's not enough times I could mention them. And every single time I've ever been interviewed that will ever pay them back, that's my family.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. Those relationships are really special and really valuable, and we cling on to them for dear life.
Yeah. You have to. It's been a hell of a few years for casting.
Yeah.
And I know that people listening to this are probably largely actors. And I know it's been a hell of a 5 years or longer for actors too. One thing that's been getting me through the ups and the downs is a New Year's resolution last year to take the advice that I give actors for my own creative career has been helpful. But it's easy, you know, even the advice that I give actors about ways that they would make decisions or what's out of their control.
Yeah.
I can hear myself wanting to say that to my own self as we talk about TV approval processes, or the number of projects going down in the saturation, or regional casting director departments just being entirely cut budgetarily, right? I'm seeing that a lot. I'm worried about that for regional casting directors. I don't know if anybody's seeing that around the country, but you know, I think that self-tape does allow for people to cast remotely. It's allowed for me to cast remotely. So even on the movies that I do, I cast them top to bottom, and I always have for over 10 years. Like any role that speaks, wherever it is, I cast them all. So I feel a little hypocritical voicing concern for something that I've often cut out of my own movie budgets, but I also work on very small movies.
Yeah.
Right? So to have a TV show cut that department just points to the amount of squeeze that every single person's feeling, and the type of desperation and chaos that squeeze is putting on all of us, onto actors, onto filmmakers, the changing distribution landscape. There's so many different ways to take this conversation, but I wanted to say that early because the stakes of some of these things that we're talking about are very high and very personal for so many.
Yeah, I have to say that when we were not recording, I had said the thing of this new environment that we need to embrace the landscape of the current landscape of the industry, is that idea of like making your plan A your plan B and flipping it so that you have creative freedom. that didn't come from me. I don't want to take any credit. Those were Jonathan Tucker's words. And I think that that's a thing of like, it's a similar thing that we do tell actors, but now I'm fully embracing that too. So I can appreciate that sentiment
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
I like that sentiment. Say it again. Say the plan A thing again.
So it's make your plan A your plan B and your plan B your plan A, so that the thing that you're passionate about can be your passion without having to stress you out, essentially.
Yeah, that's
And
good advice.
so, yeah, and I think it's the same thing of like making sure you have stability somehow, and that you can be more creatively inclined rather than having to feel the pressure of the financial aspect of it. And
Sure.
I always in my head, I mean, now it's a little bit different, but when I thought about that before, my sort of excuse was always, um, we don't have that freedom because we have to be in an office from 9 to 7 or whatever. So it's not like we can go out and do other things. But now in this current landscape of not being in an office and sort of being on call in a way, maybe that does open up things a little bit for the rest of us who are usually sort of confined or tied to a desk in some way. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do want to talk about your directorial debut, because when we mentioned it when Lindsay was on the podcast, because you were out, I think you were
know.
doing a screening out here at UTA or something. Um, Tell us, how did that happen? Single Car Crashes, right? That's the film's name.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh,
Yeah, it's called
you,
Single Car Crashes. It'll probably have a digital release. Not probably, it will have a digital release. It's being distributed by Freestyle. And we're looking at release dates in early February to do kind of like a pre-Valentine's Day-ish thing. There's an
uh-huh.
unrequited love element. It's almost like an anti-Valentine's Day movie.
Aw.
Actually, my husband pitched it in a really cool way for the first time. I hadn't heard anybody describe it this way, but it's love triangle-y. It's about this main character who's flirting down memory lane with a girl the week of her wedding to somebody else. It's almost
Mm.
like if you've seen weddings where the guy comes in and breaks it up and is like, I object, or like, no, like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a movie from the perspective of that guy.
Oh,
It's like he's the main character and you're kind of following along the week of that type, but it's very nuanced, very grounded, very Duplass Brothers-esque or Joe
yeah.
Swanberg-esque in tone, I think. Like we
Hmm.
describe it like Drinking Buddies meets Young Adults.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
Silver Linings Playbook, but not as heavy. There's definitely like a
Yeah.
latent grief element to it. But yeah, it's about this guy that had killed his best friend in a car accident 10 years before the movie starts. And you don't see the
Wow.
car accident, it's just kind of hanging over it. And then it's him and the other survivor of the car accident, and they're like, will they, won't they love story.
Wow.
It's a
So
little
just
cringy.
you wrote, directed, produced,
Yes.
and cast this film.
Yes. I also coordinated the extras and all the vehicles, all the fiction vehicles.
Like, one, amazing. Congratulations that like you've been through all of that, and you're gonna like, I think, getting the movie released anyway in any which way, completed and then released is an achievement in itself. So bravo on that. But also, you wore so many hats.
Yeah.
Was this your first time wearing some of those hats? What was that experience? What was that process of sort of like learning the ropes? Tell us.
Yeah, thanks. It was the first, that's all true. It was the first time I directed since college. So I was a writer director in college, only that
Yeah.
I'm far from college now. And I, of course, take a lot of pride in directing actors in audition sessions. When we were together in audition sessions, I liked that directing part of the casting career. So I felt like I had a lot of practice in directing actors.
Mm.
Certainly hindsight's 2020, things I wish I had done before directing on set for the first time, especially directing a feature before a short. That is a unique thing to do. I'm proud of that too.
Yeah.
I wish I had shadowed in editing rooms. That's a big one. That's the biggest one. I wish I knew what the editing process looked like on the other side. It would have helped inform the things I was obsessive about in terms of the coverage I was actually getting on the day. It's hard to describe it until I had that full start to finish perspective. I couldn't have known what I didn't know
Mm.
in that technical visual storytelling direction aspect. I fortunately had an incredible DP and a seriously committed editor who shored up things that would have been greener if I had a less dedicated person in either of those roles. So I was super taken care of by my leadership team all around me at every turn. And I that was by design, right? My producing partner, and I knew that I needed that. Wouldn't settle for not having that because I knew what I didn't know enough from other industry experience, and that was very helpful. And the other thing I would never do again on a feature is take unpaid background. It's funny because as a casting director of only principal performers, I don't know a lot of background. I don't know if you have different relationships in your work with the background extras casting, but I know almost no one that does background. It's such a different department. I think sometimes people think like, oh, don't you know extras casting directors? And I think not any better than I know a stunt coordinator. Like I would go through the list the same way I would pull a stunt coordinator. It's that separate, right? So I think I've not given enough kudos to that work in the past. And as a director who had her friends and family volunteer as unpaid extras and had to coordinate them all, and not coordinate them, I didn't have to place them, but like get them to show up, give them the instructions, like the amount that's involved in that. And I'm very grateful for the people that did that work and volunteered for me. And I have asked people to be unpaid extras before. Sometimes on an indie, it's just an expense you can't afford. And I probably will have to do it again on a short or something else small. But for a feature, I deeply regret not having spent that money. I should have hired an extras coordinator and they should have paid people minimum wage to have them there on the day, complete strangers to me. Because while they were free volunteers and I was so grateful, I was too grateful. I had to like spend a lot of time checking in and making sure that they were okay with how long they'd been there on the day. So those are the two big things I learned. But the directing process was incredible. And the overall experience mirrors most closely me having an actual child, becoming a mother for the first time in 2020. So I became a mother to my real life daughter, Isla, in 2020. And then Single Car Crashes is my son. I joke, it's definitely a boy. And it feels almost the same. Like it feels like you're going through this process of this is so massive and so life-changing and I'm so passionate about this and I've wanted to have this baby for so long, this movie baby. And then you're meeting these different crew members or getting advice from people going like, are you gonna help me take care of this baby? Are you gonna help me take care of this baby? And when they do, you're like, thank you so much. It feels the same. It feels the same.
Yeah, it's your village.
I actually started out as an extras casting person.
And
literally just for future reference, you can still get free extras or you can even pay them minimal or whatever, but you can just like post on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and you will get so many good people. Like there is a whole culture because I came up in the industry in the South where principal casting was still tied to extras casting. So you had to do both. So we would do the principals, but we would also do the extras. And I mean, if you ever need help, please call me. But I will happily help you just like with all my tips and tricks because it's really not that hard to get them because it's almost like this underground network. Like as soon as you're in. And as long as you know the places to look, you can find like a treasure trove of people who and a lot of them, especially if you don't need children or anything like that, a lot of them are like retirees or like people who just like want to be on a movie set to give it a shot one time, be next to somebody famous. Like, it's so interesting to me, the whole culture of like the extra. We should try to get somebody from extras casting on.
I know Mary Ellen Aviano. She did all of like the Bad Robot stuff. So she's I don't have that experience that Jen does, but I did do when we were doing the Force Awakens open calls. She and I were traveling together because it was just the two of us doing all these like American Idol style calls essentially.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was fascinating because she really like it is a finite skill set of wrangling people and it was definitely an education.
I mean, my very first film was Hannah Montana, the movie, and there were like concert scenes where we had to have like 500 extras on set every day, and to get those, and that was like the minimum. And so like to get that 500, you have to book like 750
for sure.
Because you're gonna have that much dropout and then trying to wrangle and like could you imagine, like we had a whole system, but it was like we had groups of colored people, of like, you're in the green group, you're in the
Oh.
yellow group, you're in the red group. And so then you had like different groups that you were associated with, and that all had to do with your call times. Cause it's like, even then if you get to set and then you have that many extras, it's like getting them checked in, getting them their paperwork, doing their I-9s. Like, it's so
Wow.
crazy. Like, it's a whole different world. I mean, I'm very grateful I came from it because it taught me, one, a lot about employment law, but also about
Yeah.
just like the craziness of like all different types and species of humans.
Yeah.
Funny.
Anyway,
Yeah.
back to your film. So is this something that like you're looking to do more of? So you said it was your baby. Is it something that it was always kind of like, I want to do this, and this has been my goal, whatever? Is it something that you ultimately want to transition to directing, or is it something that you want to go back and forth or bounce around or just dabble? What's the plan?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking. I wouldn't have been able to answer it clearly a year ago. Today I can. I do want to direct the most ultimately.
Mm.
I don't have a strong feeling about how soon that is. And I love casting forever, right? So what I've been saying is, well, let me tell you first. So from that movie, that was in October 22 that we shot that. Then Angie Gaffney, who was the it was me and her were produced by producers on that. We came together in business partnership in Chicago. She has a lot of physical production experience that I don't have, and also a lot of high level leadership training, and was the executive director of a nonprofit here in Chicago that really built Chicago's independent film scene. So she has a lot of relationships here at the government level, at the other leaders level, to financing here, to crew here. And then I bring to the partnership my connections to Los Angeles and New York and my relationships with agents and managers and actors, right? So I have a great acumen for story and character and script development and table reads and that. So together we're partners, and the partnership is pretty new. We're called 521 Films here in Chicago and elsewhere. But what happened after that was we turned around and produced a movie called Adult Children that was 2 or 3 times the size of mine. And that had Tommy Sadowski, Betsy Brandt, Aya Cash, and Ella Rubin as the leads of it. And that's in post now. And Verve is representing it. And I think it'll have a really great release. It's just still in the post process right now. And from there, we then also did a movie called Desire Lines that, like, while Angie was on set point personing, she was the main producer on Adult Children, and I was a co-producer and cast it. I was the producer on a movie called Desire Lines, and Angie was a co-producer on it. And Desire Lines is a trans-masculine docu-narrative hybrid that premiered at Sundance this year. What a year. Sundance 2024, yeah. Sundance this year, and won its category in the next section.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Oh.
it's my first time at Sundance, actually. Like, I had a couple shorts before as a casting director, but I had not had a feature there as a casting director. I was feeling very sad that I hadn't gone. I was supposed to go last year, but I was trying to save money in anticipation of the strikes, and I didn't go, and I should have gone. And then, and I had a movie there last year too, and I should have been there with friends on weekend one. Then this year was like, surprise, you are going to Sundance as a full producer. I like produced this $30,000 party, and like Planned Parenthood and Kickstarter were sponsors of it. And it was the craziest way to do Sundance for the first time. One major piece of advice I have to my younger self is to not fall into the trap of like weird ego or optic self-consciousness and be like, I shouldn't go. I don't have anything there right now. There's some of that. Like, there is like some, if you're there and you don't have something and you're kind of just partying, like you might have moments where you're like, no, I don't have anything here, and like feel a moment of weirdness, but that quickly fades. And I desperately wish I had not given a shit about that and had like gone to that and gone to other film festivals, because the challenge for me was that I didn't have these relationships. I couldn't even picture what it looked like. So as I was putting together this party, I was like, I don't know where the restaurants are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was really hard learning curve, but we had that happen right away. And then just had some other projects in development. We did a proof of concept in the fall that had a couple of very famous actors acting together for the first time, which was exciting that I can't mention yet. And then I just directed another proof of concept 2 weekends ago that's called Out of the House, for a fabulous Indian American actor named Vinithra Raj, who just moved from Chicago to LA, and she's a great writer, great comedic writer. and it's like Rami meets Insecure, and we shot in a
Oh,
Hindu
wow.
temple, which is very unusual because you can't normally even take pictures of Hindu gods. And this very modern Hindu temple like opened up their space to us, their community to us. They were all in beautiful saris and solwars and in celebrating the festival of Navaratri in this scene with the
Yeah.
priests doing an arti ceremony. It was incredible. It was an incredible experience. So I have that in post now as well. So all that to say, I'd say like the answer is like I always want to cast in some capacity. My momentum is mostly in producing, and the thing that I want to do the most is direct.
Wow. First of all, I knew you were great before, but you're a total badass. This is amazing. Like
Totally
really
tired.
incredible. I'm sure you're exhausted, plus being a mom, like that is a lot at the same time. But like I'm so proud of you and I'm so excited to see
Yeah.
your continued evolution in all of the different ways. I am curious in that space, like how does that because there are often times that we're casting while things are already shooting. So did you have that experience on your first one of like still, or were you fully cast by the time you started principal photography?
I guess I kind of had it because I was directing, right? A little
Yeah.
bit.
No, I mean, sometimes you're just like,
Yeah,
well,
I'm not right now. I've got a movie starting shooting right now, and I've got one offer out that I need to close. That role doesn't start until Monday, and I have to cast it
yeah,
quick. I just have one
yeah,
left, but I don't always have it all the way cast when the movie
right.
starts. Part of that, for everyone's reference, like just logistically, is that on an independent film, like you can't afford to have a lot of crew prepping for so much sooner than a few weeks out, right? And if the
Mhm.
schedule is changing, you both know that if you're hiring day players at a scale rate, right, then they're locked into those dates. So you actually try to hold off to a certain degree to like firm up those deals
Yeah,
until the schedule is firm enough in an effort to save the production future hypothetical money from shifts. Right.
yeah,
So the balancing act of that means that, especially on independent features, a lot of times I'm still casting them, or somebody gets sick, or the schedule changes and you lose them, or somebody gets COVID, somebody books a TV show. On the movie that I was just doing that started shooting today, I lost the lead 3 times,
wow,
twice because they had fully attached. And I don't blame them, and I'm not mad. And this should happen. They did the right thing. They worked with the director for like 30 hours on the script, and then they booked a major TV series as a lead on TV. And you can't,
wow.
that's okay. That happens. Like that's expected, right? But it is
Yeah.
hard, right? So for those reasons, sometimes you are casting last minute. Did I have any major recasting stuff in mind? I think I was on set already. I was trying to so I had Sasha Alexander, who's a friend of mine and an actor that I
Yeah.
absolutely love to the bone. I love her as a director. I love her as a producer. I love her as a performer and a person. She's incredible. She was on TV famously, Isles from Rizzoli and Isles. She's married to
She
Eduardo
was
Ponte.
also one of the, what's it called? The dancers with J-Lo. Did you not
Maybe.
know this?
No. Are you thinking
Oh
of
my
the
God.
person? I'm not sure.
Hold
Sasha
on. Hold,
Alexander?
please.
That's amazing. I believe it. She's a phenomenal dancer. I
Oh
just didn't know
yeah.
that about her.
She what were those girls called? Like in Living Color Girls.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know,
Oh,
but that makes sense. She's an incredible dancer. I
yeah.
just didn't know that about her. She's got that close to the chest.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna send you a link after this, but she
Okay,
was
please do.
one of those dancers. Yeah, okay. Neither here nor there. Go ahead.
She was okay. Well, so when I was getting the movie, when I was raising the money for the movie, I had Billy Zane and her attached. Like they said, like it's fine for you to use my name in the pitch presentation, like while I was raising the money. Like, and I was like, Sasha, is that okay? If and when it comes to fruition, this role is yours, right? And same with
Yeah.
Billy Zane. And I kept Billy Zane in the movie. The dates did work out, but Sasha had a TV conflict and she was trying to work it out. And then we couldn't, just based on the way that the dates came together. So ended up needing to hire somebody else. I went to Wendy Moniz, who I love. It's another actor that I absolutely respect and adore. And Wendy Moniz read it. I don't know her socially at all, and she doesn't know me, but she read it and liked the script a lot. And we were really trying to make it work with her. I think it was FBI, it doesn't matter, but one network show up until The Wire. Like I was like, I will wait till 24 hours until this person has to be on a plane. I want you so bad. And then we couldn't make it happen. So then I did have to hire somebody right away, which I'm glad worked out perfectly. Ended up hiring a phenomenal Chicago actor named Chedine Alvarez, who's one of the most respected theater performers here, just most elegant, most nuanced, and she has like the scene stealing scenes in that movie, right? So
Yeah.
that stuff happens, you know, that kind of moving target, and there's so much that goes on behind the scenes like that, even just from a casting perspective, when you're also balancing the producing element. You have more factors to make decisions about how much time to give or when to pull an offer or when to push it to.
Yeah.
So I found that pretty empowering, actually, to have all the information to be able to make those decisions. And I cast the movie so differently than I normally would. I had almost no one audition. I've been casting it for like years. I
Yeah.
think two of the 20 parts came from auditions, which is that
Wow.
is not reflective of my casting process at all. Like I say that with a huge disclaimer of like that is only because I was casting this movie in my mind for years and years and years and years before it ever got made, that I just made people
Yeah.
offers. But
I think that's different. Like if you were exclusively a director, it would be such a different space because yes, you've been doing it for so long, but also you have a unique amount of information that most filmmakers don't have. You
Sure.
have years, decades
Yeah.
of knowledge of what these actors are capable of, and not just what we see on screen, but the stuff that we've done in the room. And so I think that gives you so much more of an advantage in the casting process, especially when they're, actors that have been around for a while. So I think that gives you so much more power.
Yeah. And I do,
Yeah.
I use some of that power too, even when I'm not directing. Like right now, like in the interest of time, casting the last part, I went back through a really similar part that I cast in the fall, and I just pulled a bunch of old auditions and showed it to the director. Now I say that like with hesitation because I do consider, here's what I'll say, just transparently, like my ethics around this are this, like I consider auditions to be inherently proprietary. I'm notoriously pretty ferocious if I get an unsolicited self-tape. If somebody posts a self-tape anywhere, if someone's posting their self-tapes on social media, I'm like big no's to all of those things. And more, and any version of that. Like I just consider it kind of a sacred thing. That said, then I do go take auditions for other projects. And only when it's to an actor's advantage. Like that's kind of like how I ethically navigate that, is like I only share people's private auditions when it is for their benefit, when it is like to try to get them another job. And I had a casting session in New York for this crazy indie. It was like the most horrible experience at the end of the day, but the roles were good, the sides were good, and the actors were great and super interesting. This movie that I did in 2014. And I continue to pull those taped auditions and get people straight offers off of that casting session from 2014 on small stuff, but still like on small little, that only happens when you're like, oh, hey, like somebody like needs recommendations for a short film and they can't afford a casting director, or a really unique looking role on a feature and it's got to be filled pretty quickly. And like, I can't think of anybody and no one in submissions has blown me away. Right. So I do some of that.
Well, I've done that in the past, and I feel like too, I've used it also with the new SAG rules of like, if you don't have time to turn around a note on a self tape or something, and you're like, oh, I just needed like, because they're like, can they really be funny? I feel like they didn't hit those like comedic like beats right. I'll go and pull a comedy audition from 2 years ago and be like, watch this. This is hilarious. Do this, or look at this thing. And so, I mean, I just did it probably like 3 weeks ago for somebody where I was like, oh no, I have another audition from them for this, which is why I'm like, I never delete auditions ever, because you never know, even the bad ones. Sometimes I'm like, it's just like, you never know when you'll need them.
Yeah, well, I use only EcoCast for pretty much everything. I use breakdown services for virtually everything. And I've been a casting director full time for however long, 13 years, almost 12 or 13 years since college. So I have auditions from 2012 from that I might be like, I might see somebody on the street that I auditioned for this Breitling Watches new media project in 2011. And I might like see them on the street and be like, remember when we had that audition? And they're like, no, that's incredibly disconcerting. Please don't stop me. But that's what it's like to be a casting director, right? Like you have like this memory, and the memory imbalance is so incredible because somebody else is just meeting us in a high pressure situation where they're like meant to be dropped into a role, whether that's live or on Zoom, or even they're not seeing us at all because they're sending in a self-tape, versus like I am looking at their pitch and their materials and I've already heard their voice because I'm very auditory. So like vocal quality is like a huge factor for me in anything, casting, directing, or otherwise. And so I've like already heard their voice and looked at their stuff and know who their agent is. And I've watched their tape and I've organized their tape and I've relabeled their tape and I've sent it along. Right. I remember one time being in an elevator with an actor on a TV show who had a very like unique social security number. Like it had a lot of zeros or something. And I had like been the associate doing all the paperwork, like all the deal memos time after time, episode after episode. And I remember being in the elevator and this guy had no idea who I was. He'd never seen me. I didn't hire him. I was just doing the deal memos. And I remember thinking like, wow, this is trippy. Like this guy does not know who I am. And I know his social security number by heart.
Oh my God.
That's a true story.
That's wild.
That happened to me. What's that actor's name? Oh man, I can't think of his name. He kind of looks like Ben Barnes. He's British. Man, I'm feeling bad. I'm embarrassingly blanking on this actor that I love. But similar kind of thing. Like saw him at a birthday party. I think I was at Zelda Williams' birthday party at Edendale like one year, and like was like, I know you. We know each other well. And I'm like hugging him. He's like, ma'am, I do not know who you are. And I was like, no, we are like literal friends. He's like, we're not friends. And I like got home and started watching New Girl, and I was like, oh no, he's just like the recurring character on the show that I'm watching right now. That sucks. Julian Morris. Sorry to Julian Morris if he ever hears this for stalking you.
Oh my gosh. To be fair though, Brittany, I've done that multiple times.
Same.
Literally I go and like I'll do that like now it's to the point where I won't say hi, or I'll just fake it like until I know what they're from, because it's happened to me so many times where I'm like, hey, how's it going? Oh my gosh, so good to see you. And it's either like, even if we've like met in the audition room or something, I've come to realize actors do not remember you if you're not the main casting director at all.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
like also, unless it's been like multiple times, but there's a guy who I won't say names, but I have auditioned him 5 times, cast him twice, had like been at the same parties, played volleyball on the beach with him. The guy still has no idea who I am every time I see him. And I was like, what is your problem?
I don't love that.
No, it actually like pisses me off, because I was like, I have to know all of you at the drop of a hat. And yet after all these times, you can't remember who I am. And it was very apropos, because this is a great story. I was with 2 casting friends of mine in LA. It was the last dinner I had before moving to London in LA. And we were at that really kitschy Mexican restaurant in West Hollywood. I'm forgetting the name now.
El Coyote.
Gracias Madre.
Oh.
No, Madre, yes. The Madre one, yes. And
I'm with you on Coyote too. That's fair. My guess was better, but I like yours
If
too.
you saw kitschy, I wouldn't have said Gracias Madre.
Oh,
That's
well,
like bougie.
Well, that's what I meant. Like, West Hollywood. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's an event.
But anyway, so we're sitting there having dinner, and then all of a sudden my one friend was like, oh my gosh, there's an actor sitting next to us. I cast him in a show. And I was like, oh. And then my other friend's like, oh my gosh, yeah, same here. Like we did. And so we're all sitting there, and I was like, who is it? And they couldn't remember his name. So finally, like I had my back to him, so I couldn't like fully turn around and be like, who is this? So finally I was like, I'm just going to go to the quote unquote bathroom and see who it is. Turn around, and it is that guy who like I won't ever remember me. And I was like, no way, my last meal in LA, and this guy's sitting next to me for dinner.
That's
like,
amazing. You gotta
That's
text
really
me.
funny.
You gotta text me who it is.
Hired
I need to know. Inquiring minds.
I
want to
feel
know.
like just say it and we'll bleep it out.
Okay, it was.
Oh. Wait, this is real talk.
Yeah.
Wait, actually no, I'm thinking of somebody else. I was thinking of somebody else that also kind of looks like name I can't think of now that I cast, where I was like, I hired you as a series regular. Like I got you this part myself, and like did not recognize me at also a West Hollywood thing, but it's not the same guy. I know who you're talking about. I like that guy.
It's funny though that he can't remember anybody, but like he looks like a bunch of other guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like all of us are sort of unique because we're not actors in that way. Like we're not not to say actors are conventional, but like, I think there's like a lane, but he looks like so many other people.
Yeah, no, you could easily mistake him for so many other people. And the crazy thing is when I played beach volleyball with him, it was 1 week after we cast him in a TV show where he auditioned 3 times, tested, and I rode the elevator for his test with him and talked to him the entire time.
That's pretty
So
crazy.
that
That's
part
crazy.
really
That's
pissed me
nuts.
off when I was like, and then we happened to be like one of his friends. I used to play with like a big group of people, and somebody he knew invited him, and he came, and we were standing opposite the net of each other, and I was like, and I finally was like, do you not remember me? Couldn't even, and
That's
he's like,
crazy.
no, I'm sorry, have we met? And I was like, yes, I just cast you in this show. And he was like, oh, and then he went on to ignore me the rest of the day. And I was like, oh my God, it's so awkward. At that point, just be nice about it and be like, so
Yeah.
sorry. Lovely to
Overcompensate
see
for
you.
sure.
You gotta
Overcompensate for
fake
sure.
it. Yeah.
I want to ask you both. This reminds me, Jen. This is like such an entertaining version of this, and it happens. Like that does happen, and I don't hold blame on one individual like that. But being very vulnerable, I want to share that like in my transitioning from casting and then also I was doing some acting training in Chicago in the interim in COVID, right around the time that I consider to be the summer where like actors just came for casting directors on social media in a way that like I am still truly triggered by.
Yes. That wasn't
Like
that long ago.
it wasn't that long ago.
No.
And I'm curious, like, if you had a similar experience. Like I just had this feeling of like and people treat and actors in general like tend to acknowledge me and the work that I've done or the collaborations that I've done. And it's not about that either. Like it's not like that's not why I do it. I haven't done these things like wanting something to be reciprocal. I haven't wanted it to be transactional, but I have poured like 80, 90, 100 hours a week into casting, into data entry, into championing people. I have muses. I have people that I've done their self-tapes for free for years. I have people whose lives I've completely changed, like gotten them reps early. And I think for me, like at the most raw and vulnerable time when everyone in the industry was feeling so strapped, like I understand why it happened. Like I was feeling just as desperate too. Like I wanted to blame anybody but myself for like the lack of work that there was.
Yeah.
And it was systemic, and it was like a perfect storm between the streaming bubble bursting into a global pandemic, into the threat of AI, and like it was all
Into
at
double
once,
strike.
right?
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was horrible for me too. And I think I just felt so betrayed. In particular, like I had an acting studio that I was literally running. And I keep it very separate. I'm super corporate. Like my casting family that I've spoken of, Barb, Amber, Danielle, they still jokingly call me Corporate Brittany. Like I am corporate Brittany or the unofficial HR department. Like I'm a tyrant about human resources and diversity and inclusion and being ethical in hiring, right? So like I take that very seriously. I kept like a very tight separation between my training and my casting. In fact, it was easier to do. I don't have the training center anymore because now I work more in Chicago, but at the time I really only cast outside of Chicago and only trained in Chicago, and it was easy to keep that line, right?
Yeah.
I had a teacher working for me posting on social media all the time about these types of things, including like casting directors should be the ones to get footage for actors when a project's commercially finished. And I was like, bro, you got to take that down. Like that's like so like those little, that's one little example, but the amount of like misinformed things that I've seen on social media in that period of time when Sprague Graydon shared that thing of Betty May casting and it just like launched this on Deadline. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like it was the most thing. It was so
the
brutal
thing
and
that
misinformed.
That was the thing that basically made us decide this podcast needed to happen. That instance. Yeah. We literally
if you read all those articles, not one person stood up for casting. There was no Deadline didn't reach out to one casting director except for one very uninformed woman who speaks out of her ass. And it was partly where we're like, okay, if nobody's going to speak out for us, we're going to speak out for ourselves, whether people listen or not. At least our voices are out there being like, stop blaming us. We're not the ones doing this. This is one bad person who made a poor decision.
But also I think they were not really, they were referencing instances. So I think Lynette Rice, Lynette Rice, who was the author, the writer of the Deadline articles, I think maybe she's like a former actor that has a personal vendetta against casting directors, because the way she framed everything was so manipulative, and it was like she did not like the instances that she put in the article, and then there was also a LA Times reporter that I got into it on Instagram with in the DM setting, that they would put in these interviews that were like non-union casting directors that don't do any union work. And it's like, first of all, those rules are so different. Those roles are so different as a casting director. Like, if you're exclusively working on SAG projects, the rules that you follow are so drastically different than the shit that's on Craigslist. You know what I mean?
Sure,
So
yeah.
I think it's like to understand the masses versus these small instances that happen, like that's part of the actor's job, to be able to understand like what looks shady and what is not. If it's a SAG project, then we're going to be following those rules that make sure that actors are protected. Like, well, that is how we are raised in this industry. But I agree with you. Like, it was so disheartening. It made us like really question, what the hell are we doing this for? Because it's like everybody came out to attack us, and it was so disheartening, especially after we as a casting community came out to show up for actors during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That like Jason Kennedy was hosting thousands of like open calls just to get to know different people that didn't have access to opportunities, that they were going
Totally.
crazy.
I
Like, there were
remember.
so many of us. I was doing my coffee with casting on my Instagram
Yeah.
lives. Like, we were investing so much time and energy to make sure that actors felt seen, and
Yeah,
that they
creatively
were
fulfilled.
yeah. And I think it was so upsetting to see it. I actually started, because our Artios Awards were like literally within the same week that they all started attacking.
I remember.
And of course, I don't know what the hell CSA was thinking, but they
Oh,
invited
yeah.
Lynette.
Oh,
They
yes.
invited Lynette to the red carpet of CSA.
You got
And I was
your
like,
award you had a great award that
yeah,
RDS.
but it was just like such a upsetting thing to happen all at the same time. And I did not feel cared for by CSA, because I'm like, why would you put the person that has attacked the community on the red carpet to do it again? Like, it was so fucked up, I felt.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I
But
so
yeah.
value what you're doing. I bring that up not to end on such a dark note, but I think it ties it together. It's like, I love what you're doing here in terms of that information. And I also want to say that, kind of tying, I'm not super rushed. I can also hang for a little bit. I think, like, for me too, one thing I did not add to when you asked me about what it was like to direct was, I think this is really important to say. It's pretty big picture, and it's a pretty intense thing to say, but I really mean it. It ties to making the plan B plan A, to like give more space to plan A. It involves like where we're at in our careers age wise. But I think for me, like, going from that feeling of betrayal into directing and producing in particular for the first time and raising money, I had such a profound experience that reminded me a lot of the TV show Woke and Lamorne Morris, an actor that I love. If anybody's ever seen Woke, like in the pilot episode, he's kind of like, I'm not affected by this systemic racism. I'm outrunning it, right? I'm outrunning the systemic racism. And then it's like, you're not outrunning anything. And then his like subconscious turns into like a cartoon crayon or something.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the show in a long time. But
I like the show, yeah.
I like the show too. That kind of moment, that kind of like, whoa, I can't stop seeing it moment. That's what the experience of transitioning from casting to writing and directing and producing in particular, and raising money in particular, was like for me in terms of sexism. So I've been talking about it a lot, because I was like, whoa, what is this feeling? Like, what is this feeling where people are constantly undermining me straight to my face, like when I'm in charge of the project, like when I have the hiring power, like just overt sexism in producing meetings all the time, constantly, like in a way that I was not trained for on the day-to-day, because I had been in casting for a long time. And then like, I'm reflecting back, I'm like, well, ironically, I was in this job that was pretty protected from that on the day-to-day in terms of microaggressions, because it was a largely female job. Now, because it's a largely female job, it was also underpaid and taken advantage of and put upon a ton of emotional labor, and all of our clients like treat us like therapists too for all that unpaid emotional labor and super long hours. And so then I was upset about that too. And then I'm on set and I'm directing and producing, and I'm dealing with the actual budgets on something small, and I see what people are getting paid for what. And that's hard for me to deal with now. So when I'm going back and forth between producing, where I'm getting just like overtly faced with microaggressions in a gendered way constantly, shockingly.
Yeah.
And then, it's people that I've hired. It's my own department heads, like forgetting that I'm directing or like cutting me out of decisions or
Wow. Yeah.
Sometimes that's a terrible example.
It happens.
Or like it happens, like just little ways that do feel gendered. And then I'm also looking at like how I pay people for what jobs, and then going back into the workload of casting and how much work it is for how much money. Yeah. And then I'm on social media and actors are like, why don't casting directors get us our footage? Or like, I hate that I got this 24-hour self-tape turnaround. And like the cycle of that is making me feel crazy. And also really empathetic to actors, because I know that they have a lot of this, right? Which goes back to me being like, I'm trying to take the advice that I'm giving actors, which is like to stand up for myself in those moments, to draw boundaries, to keep them, to ask for more. I know that the CSA or I know that the Teamsters and the CSA are fighting for better rights for casting people. And I want those things to all be true, but I just had to say that because I think it's really important. And I think it really underscores why it's so important that you're giving voice to the community in this way.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you.
That's amazing. Well, on that note, we have to ask you a very important question before we let you go to your next call. So if the world was ending tomorrow and you had one cocktail or drink to cheers the end of the world to, what would it be?
Oh man, I love drinking. That's a hard question.
I do too. Thanks for saying that.
I had a lot of drinks. I don't drink rum. And I don't really like tequila unless it's mezcal, and then I love mezcal. But otherwise, I'll drink almost anything. Right now, I'm super into lychee martinis and sake drinks. Like if there was a drink that was sake and lychee, that would be the thing for me. If somehow it could also have mezcal in it, although that feels weird, I'd probably mix it up.
That would be a weird taste.
What are yours?
I've always been a vodka dirty martini, but I'm sort of like embracing other things right now. I'm like, I really love a mezcal drink, like a spicy smoky margarita is a really good vibe.
Try it. Do you like sake?
Yeah, I also like
sake.
I've been exploring. I recently discovered that Bevmo has sake. I don't know why it's taking me so long, but I've been trying different brands. I like something that's a little bit more floral and has a little bit of sweetness to it. Or the sparkling sake is really good.
Oh, that's a good tip. Yeah. That might be mine.
You had it on the podcast a couple weeks ago, Jess. The sparkling one.
I think I would need to line up like a mini flight of like 10 different drinks. I never drink the same thing twice in a row.
Interesting.
I can go from like rosé to a bourbon to a mezcal drink to a beer.
Oh, that sounds like a headache.
Not if you're this Irish. The older I get, the lower I have to make that count. But the mixing I can still do just fine.
Wow.
Oh wow, impressive.
That
was great. Oh, did you say yours, Jen?
Oh, I'm a bourbon old fashioned.
Okay, classic.
Yeah.
Very, very classy. I adore you. I could do this all day. I would love.
I know.
have dinner with you both. I would love to have drinks with you both. I would love to spend more time like this. I just respect you and everything that you think and are so much.
Thank
you. Yes. And one day we'll all be in the same state, continent, something, and we will do that in real life.
I love that.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yes. Thanks so much for joining us. We adore you and respect you and are so excited to see where you go next. It'll be amazing. And cheers to that.
Cheers,
ladies.
Cheers.
If you love listening as much as we love sharing, click subscribe on our YouTube channel or find us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thanks for listening.